So free services, let's lower the bar of the difficulty down a little bit, so you don't have to be a computer programmer. Meeting minutes. Use Google Docs. Google Docs is amazing. Multiple people can edit the document at the same time, put it all in one source, embed it on a web page, it's automatically updated. That's amazing. The other thing that you might not know about and may have never heard about is Google Docs Viewer. So, transparency is all about reducing friction, and forcing someone to download a PDF file, a Word document, or a PowerPoint file is too much friction in my opinion. You don't have to force them to download a file. You can use something like Google Docs Viewer. There are other ways of doing this, but I like the Google Docs Viewer that will actually convert a PDF file into an HTML file. It will be like images that are on a page. I showed that earlier when I showed the meeting minutes from 1949. Those are embedded with the Google Docs Viewer, which makes it really easy.
Do you ever run into limits on the 200 megabyte?
For a single file?
No, I mean like in total. Do you ever run into...
For Google Docs?
Yeah.
So if you have a Google Doc and you make a Google Doc, technically you have unlimited Google Docs. If you have PDF files, you're limited to a gigabyte. So if you're making Google Docs, you can make Google Docs for forever. Google will let you make them for forever and they'll never remove them. Other free services, Google Groups. I already mentioned this. This is pretty simple to set up. Somebody can sign up for Google Groups. When you make it, you just subscribe the group to your current mailing list, and your mailing list will then be backed up online and publicly available and more easily searchable. That's something that would take 5 minutes. Video. How did I do the video with my little webcam? I used a service called Justin TV. I actually live streamed our Senate meetings, and I actually had viewers. Christina was one of the viewers. People don't like going to campus at 7 o'clock at night on a weekday to go to a meeting, but you know what? They're still interested in what goes on. So they might go home, eat dinner, and then turn on the television and watch a reality TV show called Student Government Association at U of L.
Big distraction when you're trying to study for a test. Oh, I can't go to the meeting, I gotta study for a test. But then you pull this up, he's got this on Facebook. Watch this, and you're like, seriously? No, but it's fun.
But Justin TV has a really nice feature where you can actually upload it to YouTube. So you live stream it. After the event, you click upload to YouTube, and it uploads the whole live stream to YouTube. And that's what I did. I created playlists after the fact, so you can go back, and people actually, 3-hour-long meeting. There were about 10 people that watched a 3-hour-long arduous meeting. So even if you don't, I didn't want to sit through the 3-hour-long meeting, but people after the fact will go through and watch these videos if you post them. And in my opinion, if one person watches it, that's enough to record it and that's enough to post it. These services are free. Do not. So I'm going to go into some recommendations from you. Do not, specifically for you from my experience, put your documents and records only on your primary website. Guess what? 2 years from now, after you graduate, somebody's going to look at your website and says, this is ugly. This is broken. I'm going to get rid of it. And you know what? When they make a new website, they're not going to transfer all your documents over to the new website. I practice what I preach. All of our Google Docs and all of our PDFs are stored on Google. They're not stored in our website. They're embedded in our website, but they're not stored there. All of our meeting attendance records from the attendance tool are embedded in our website, but they're not built into our website. So if somebody decides to make a new website, they would be able to bring all this information over. Do not put your documents behind a password-protected website. Again, I will be transparent. My student government puts documents behind a password-protected website. I passed a resolution saying they weren't allowed to put it behind a password-protected website, and they still put it behind a password-protected website. That is not what student government's about. Your documents, it should be easy for students to get your documents. If there's a concern of the students, they should be able to see the documents that are related to that.
I just had something to say. I'm the new president, but the president before me, he wanted me to go to an SGA meeting, send a meeting for him. I had no access to the documents, no idea what was going on. Luckily Jared was going, he already had access. I was like, Jared, can you just download those for me? If they were doing what Jared really told them to do with the resolution and had it transparent to where I could just go and download it, I think they would get more involvement as to, students would actually know what's going on, what actually is being said in the Senate meeting.
Yeah, again, zero friction is what we're going for here, and that is a little bit of friction, and it's unnecessary friction. So, do not think that a specific document is unimportant. Nobody cares about this. This is boring. This is stupid. Well, it's not that you need to be transparent for that. It's just 2 years from now, somebody might be looking for that document. And if they can look for that document with Google, they're a lot more likely to find that document using Google. So make your documents available. They'll be easier to find. And I have one more. Do not spend money. Anybody in here wanting to spend money? Don't spend money. Use open source software. Use free services. This is free. You don't need to go out and spend a lot of money to do any of this. So what about social? So I'm going to step up on a soapbox, I guess that's a little higher than my previous soapbox, and talk a little bit about social. So services like Facebook and Twitter, you might think, well, we have a Facebook page and we're tweeting. We're definitely transparent. No, you're not. That's not transparency. That's totally different. Social networking services are about the here and the now. They're about getting people excited about your events. They're about making sure people are informed. That is not transparency. Transparency is more about making sure things are available, making sure people have access to things, making sure people know how the inner workings that they don't see, how they're going. So Facebook and Twitter are all about your public face and how you present to your public. Transparency is behind that curtain. You don't have to promote the behind the curtain, but it should be available for those people that want to look behind that curtain. Getting off the ground, what should you do when you walk away from here today? My recommendation is start a blog and start posting documents and videos. Even if you have an existing website, you can start a blog for free. I like Blogger, I'm a Googleaholic, but you could also use WordPress. Start it for free. Make sure that it costs no money to run. That way if you forget to pay the bill, it doesn't disappear. And just start embedding documents, embedding Google Docs, embed PDF, post YouTube videos. It's not that hard, and they can be time-stamped. Use Google Docs and the Google Docs viewer when embedding documents. I don't work for Google, but I like their products.
And they're free.
And they're free. That's the big thing. Google makes it free. Talk to other councils and look at other websites and see what other people are doing. That's what we're here today. That presentation was quite long, but there's my email address again. So hopefully, I don't think anybody has a question, right? Nobody has any questions. Oh, we have one.
Actually, I have. So when you started, I think two. When you started recording those things, was there any kind of privacy issues with that?
No, there is not. We are a public university. I was standing on public property, and it was an open meeting.
Okay. And
if you're at a private university, please don't take my advice. I go to a public university and know the laws. But yes.
And the second thing was, when you're recording, you said obviously people change their behavior. Are you worried at all that people are going to sort of self-censor and not actually say what they want to say because they're worried that other people are going to, be more exposed?
In my specific case, it was dealing with an election that was very controversial. And one of the demographics at our school did not get to vote. And a lot of people like me were working very hard to let that demographic vote. And a lot of people were working very hard to not let that demographic vote. So in those instances, I felt like I was on the right side of history. And being transparent, even if I thought I was on the wrong side of history, I would have still recorded them. I don't know why I'd be working against myself though, but having it recorded, not that many people are going to do it. I mean, your future employer could look and see what you said at these things, but really, you should stand by what you say at a meeting like that. Obviously, there are closed sessions where you might not want to record, but for public sessions, it makes sense to. I think you had your hand up first.
So is that for the university as a whole? Is what you record,
not our council. Normally, it was kind of an inverse. We don't have that many arguments in our engineering student council.
That's what I figured.
But at the university, when there's more diverse opinions, there were lots of disagreements.
Out of curiosity, what demographic?
It was our Kent School of Social Work, so it was only 90 students. They simply were excluded from the election.
Now, with all of this transparency, do you attach people's names to it all? Like you said, people as employers might be able to view this in the future, but will they know that's actually who they're working with?
If your name's on it. So if you Google, like in meeting minutes, for our meeting minutes, we include who was part of the, like who gave the report, who did whatnot. That's pretty standard. So if you Google search that, yeah, it could show up in a Google search. It might not show at the top because, I mean, meeting minutes aren't really that exciting on Google. Hopefully your Facebook page and your LinkedIn profile and your personal homepage are more exciting. But yeah, it could show up, and this could have ramifications for employment. However, if you do good things, you shouldn't have anything to hide. And if an employer brings it up, you can explain the situation to them. And at the very least, that will show that you were involved. I think you were next.
Two questions. One, you talked about the budget, and I totally understand saying where you're spending all your money. I would be a little apprehensive and wonder what your thoughts are about saying how much different companies are donating to me.
We don't get that much donation, but yes, okay. I could understand. My tool actually allows you to make certain things private. So I'm all about transparency, but there is a private button on there, so you can have something hidden.
Here, mention that we have a global account, our Speedsville Student Council, but we also have a personal account, like that's through a personal bank.
We're not allowed to do that.
So we technically we're not allowed to do that.
But they can't stop us.
They can't. Yeah, they can't really stop us, but they can't like really say that we can, so it's just like an iffy situation.
So we keep that.
We
We're
keep
saying
that.
it on camera, which I will post online. We have,
Yeah,
but they know about it and it's fine. But we don't post that as part of our public budget.
Right.
Yes, we choose to hide those line items,
Right.
and it's not the majority of our
On the
budget.
So it's not public, it's private.
And then
Another
my,
question.
And then my second question was, so minutes and stuff, you said you could go back and find stuff.
Mhm.
I'd imagine it being really difficult to find relevant information.
It can be difficult.
And I was thinking about like tagging, but then with the PDFs,
With the PDFs, the problem I had, I was scanning in typewriter documents. And actually, once they invented the personal computer and floppy disks, we lost all our minutes because floppy disks were expensive. So early 90s, we're missing everything. But yeah, it is difficult to do that. But as I was scanning them, I actually ended up reading most of these minutes because they were absolutely fascinating, especially when like wars were happening and things were related to like real big events like in the US. So yeah. Making them available. Hopefully technology improves in the future that makes that easy. I think you were next, and then I'm going to come up here. Did you have your hand up?
Oh.
Somebody? Yes, right there.
If you recommend streaming live video for the meetings, how would you keep track of attendance
For
the meetings?
I don't understand.
I think you were talking about you had your webcam at the student government meeting, right?
Yes. Yes.
And did you say could that apply to the council?
Yes, that we could be. Yeah.
Right. So how would you recommend keeping track of attendance if people start watching it from their laptops?
We call attendance at the beginning of our meeting. So if
I
people
think he's saying like, if you're live streaming and somebody doesn't want to go to meetings, but
could they watch the live stream? We don't really have that problem because when we call attendance, you have to be there in person. I mean, in the future that might be possible, but the technology's not there yet. So
then you would have to do like a video conference for them to
Yeah.
actually say.
because it's really one-way video, people can see the stream. And I mean, even people like my friends that don't even live in Louisville or go to U of L have watched parts of these live streams just because it was like reality TV for some people. It was dramatic.
Your programs here, are they integrable with the content manager very easily?
Sort of, kind of. 5 minutes left, so we have plenty of time for questions. Yeah, we use Drupal, and I'm directly embedding HTML files, so sort of. But again, the attendance tool really needs some work. So if there's any computer engineers that anybody knows that wants to write some PHP code with me, I would definitely. It's GPL, so you can just take it and use it on your own and not talk to me. But if you want to talk to me and make a better product, we can do that. Are there any other questions? I saw some hands up, but I don't remember where they were.
I should be on.
Are there no more questions? If there are no more questions, thank you very much.